The approach to metalheads, the approach to making music is no different than the approach to painting graffiti and letter form and style and how to create form and background and balance. It's about an arrangement. And I think that's what my life's always been about. It's been about learning what arrangement is and applying street culture to, you know, that tool. I remember going to a pub in the Midlands, and just before Acid House had kind of just started taking off, you started hearing a few things about stuff. And I kind of left and caught the back end of the trains in New York. I was taken under the wing basically by Tats crew, you know, and I've been blessed enough over the years to still be with Tats crew. They're my boys, you know, they're from Hunts Point up in the Bronx and Garrison Avenue and, you know, Bio, Nicer, Brim, Fuentes. You know, the city was out of control, the trains were out of control, they were all painted. You know, Mayor Koch was fighting a £72 million deficit in trying to, you know, in taxation of trains and losing control of the city to these rebels.
Turn the word bomb into a beautiful sound. See my name Rimrod all around the town, all the cars on the train be looking so bright, blasted full of color in the middle of the night.
I've been blessed to be around those kind of people in Bombardier at a very early age. And it stuck, you know, because I came out of the care system and I kind of see, you know, my kind of story's been on my sleeve for years. It's been read about and documented. But when you live your life in that urban environment, you come up through that system, that blueprint stays with you, doesn't go. I was crossing hairs with, you know, coming from hip hop and coming back from New York, Miami. Didn't go back to the Midlands, stayed in Swiss Cottage, went to Rage. Met Kemi in Red or Dead in Camden High Street. Fell in love and went there. I think the euphoria of those days was just so powerful to go out and get hit by the music. You know, you get hit with a fable or a storytelling. You need to be at this place at a certain time and go there and check it out. And you're not going to hear that music again for another, and you're not even going to know what it is for another 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And that was a time when you had Playing with Knives and you had Enjoy and you had that kind of stuff going on, and you had all this stuff coming out of Europe, hard kind of house, techno, kind of mad stuff coming out of there. You know, Joey Beltram being a great example of what you had. Yeah, you had that stuff, and then you had these mad white labels coming out of North London. Homeboy Hippie and Funky Dread. Zero B, you know, Dragonfly, you know, all these mad tunes, and I think it was that crossbreed which England's so good at, which other countries are not. Reinforced for me really was my, you know, that was my honorary degree really in terms of what, you know, working with Digo. I'd work with Digo in the morning and I'd work with Mark from Reinforced in the evening. And people don't understand, as a DNA is concerned, that was the light and dark of my music, because Mark was darker, Digo was lighter. So I'd have these tunes that were crossbred, you know, and that's what St. Angel was a great example. You know, Angel was great vocal at the beginning, and it would switch to a dark, you know, full-on thing at the end. And that was how I'd make music from then on. People cite Terminator, and I understand that. It's a very important piece in terms of, because it was questioning everything about time, and what I'd felt was he's got to go back, to go forward, to go and cancel out this geezer, to come back. I'm like, okay. And I think at the time for me, it was, I think there's this b-boy aspect going on where I was kind of middle fingering everything that was kind of helium orientated. I'd already done it myself. I'd gone to, like, I'd sampled Phil Collins and the Amen Break. I just wanted to fucking dance. Being in the studio, it was about, again, being on the crucible of change. You know, this equipment came from the 80s. It wasn't used in the 90s by the digital people. So this is an analog piece of equipment. What happens if we put digital into it? So we were working out ways of, you know, b-boy mentality is about, or b-boyism is about working out different ways. It's not about what the fucking equipment does, it's about what it doesn't fucking do. You need to joyride technology. You didn't get antibiotics by going the right way, you got it by an accident. And that's how, you know, we call it, in my terms, and people that are of the craft, we call it the beautiful accident. You know, you've got to look at pushing the boundaries. Now, a lot of music we listen to is one, gentrified, and two, it doesn't push the envelope of technology at all. It's just, you know, we can do the vocoder really well. Great, you've got a vocoder, fantastic. And you've got an FM8, fantastic. You've got to push it, you know, got to push the envelope. It's called envelope for a reason in the program. You need to push it and work around with it and twiddle it. I think the whole Terminator EP was about songwriting, having a great vocal with a heinous back end on it. You know, having a sax player on You and Me, having this sax with piano, having a great piano. I mean, that piano intro was played by Robin Smith, and Robin Smith wrote all the Five Star albums in the 80s. And he also did the music for Home and Away, apparently, which he got a gold disc for. But yeah, Robin Smith come and played it, and I basically wired it all up to an electric piano and went, right, I can use the MIDI from that, put it into vintage keys, and let the MIDI play the same chords, and then take this chord structure out of that, which then became timeless. With all of the music I've ever made, there's an archetype connection to the next track, always. I'd always use that as an artistic bridge. And you know, we were messing with stuff that was, okay, so you can move if I can move the knob, because we didn't program it, we just used it. I programmed it just by manually turning it to funky drummer in a certain time. Get back to 0, okay, let's try it again, let's work it out. That time was a bit too fast on the end, so we worked that out. I mean, when we did it, it was me and Mark Rutherford in the studio, who was working with Real World, Peter Gabriel. He's since gone on and done loads of stuff with Peter Gabriel, and it was me and Mark Rutherford. We were working in a pre-production room in the back of William Orbit's studio in Crouch End for the first 2 EPs on Reinforced. Because I said to Reinforced, I don't want to work, before I was working in their studio, I'd actually gone with my favourite records with a guy called Linford, who was part of Roughage Crew at the time, with all these records. He was picking all these great tunes out and I was sampling them all. And we'd filled up 2 S1000s, which apparently was unheard of at the time. You've got no more sample time left, nothing left. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to arrange it. That's what I'm going to do, and we did. So we then moved into John Truelove's setup with, I think it was the bass player from Echo and the Bunnymen. Can't remember his name. In Arlington Street, in Camden. Linford had gone home on a tube to get the last train, and he hates me for it. And I just stayed there because I lived on the road, and we just carried on. And I just said, look, what's this piece of equipment doing? It was the HF Harmonizer 2000 at the time, and I was obsessed with it. These things that it could do, stay in time but pitch. And it was originally designed for guitarists. You know, you can play this chord, and I can have 5 guitars playing above me and 5 below. And it just worked. It just sounded amazing. Mark Rutherford always had a tendency for the happy sort, the old happy stuff, and it wasn't white happy. It was euphoric happy. And he was a monster, an absolute monster. I mean, I'd heard stories of Doc Scott at the Eclipse. He was a monster. I mean, Doc Scott could DJ on the happy sort. That's why they called him Doc Scott. He was the doctor. You could go to him and get anything. But he could DJ on it, ridiculously. But anyway, we were engineering Terminator. Never forget it. We'd already finished the arrangement, because I've got to be completely straight arrangement. I've got to make sure it's all arranged. Once this outline's done, whatever colour we put to this, I'll never forget that after about, I don't know, a couple of phone calls throughout the day as it was going down, after Linford had gone home, it had had enough, it was just too much. We were in the wee hours, and it was, you know, Mark's eyesight went. Mark completely could not see a fucking thing. So I was sitting next to him while Atari Create was going up. He was like, right, can you see the thing that says 4 and then bar? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, okay. So just move the mouse to, okay, so I'm directing this motherfucker with the mouse, because he couldn't fucking see. So he's literally like this, and he's moving this mouse, mate. He'll kill me for this one. He knows, it's a classic story. and he's moving stuff around, and we're doing it. And by this point, I've already finished the tune, so we're just tweaking stuff, and how it sounds and coming back, and we're EQing, and all of a sudden, this EQ becomes massive, it becomes so detailed, but so we know every little part of this room. The shapes change, everything. And I'm standing on the desk with my hands on the ceiling, listening back to it. Yeah, go back. Okay, cool. 16 bars. Let's go back. And we were just literally refining it. So we gave up a point and we passed out. Apparently, woke up in the morning. I don't think I actually went home. We actually stayed in the studio, and I came out in daylight. And then that was it for us. We listened back on this, come back in the daytime, because we're doing a 4-track EP.
We're talking about things that I haven't done yet.
Just blowing our minds. I mean, it really did. I think it was one of those things. Most people in the music industry, when they write something or coin something, they just know. And we just knew. I'm recording Groove Rider at 6 in the morning, and he's on his way back from Donington Park saying, I've done something, I think it's going to change everything. And he went, yeah, just get it to me, yeah. I said, oh, yeah, I'll cut it on Friday. And the first time when I cut it, and he played it at Rage, everyone walked off the dance floor. And I was devastated. I was gutted. Everyone just walked off. And I think Groove Rider, when the floor was emptied, I kind of went to him. I phoned him the next day and I was gutted. He went, man, listen, you're way ahead of your time. Just give it time. Within 3 weeks, everyone was just going off to it, like ridiculously going off to it. I remember DJ Hype saying to me, he's playing 2 copies of it at the Orange in Archway. And I think it lasted on a whole year on dubplate. I keep recutting it before I'd even put it out. Before Synthetic had even done it, it was living on plate, and it was being siphoned down to the DJs, and it lasted. It was just for me, it was growing up. It finally arrived.